everybody, my name is Jessica, also known as Auntie Disky, and this is Fut-Afrique channel. This is the place where you can discover the African continent through its football. Super excited to have the first feature of the women's segment where we're going to be talking all things women in sports, women in football. And what an exciting way to start the segment by having an amazing guest. I mean, I have so much to say about the guest that we have on this podcast today. I'm super excited to have you on the show. Kaylin Stewart, how are you?
Well, one introduction, but thank you for having me.
You deserve it. You deserve it. How are you feeling?
I feel good. A little exhausted. Obviously, it was a pretty exhausting year, but an amazing one in the same breath. But yeah, it's just, I'm happy to have what is called a break now, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm
so glad that you're here, and I'm really surprised that you accepted our invitation given the fatigue that's going around. Every player has been saying that after the last whistle, I'm going home. It's been a busy year for you, from club level to national, Call of Duty, and you've been in and out of the country, but to see that you're still standing and fighting and being part of this conversation, we're super excited. So we're going to kick things off, obviously, here at home with the local league, the Hollywood Bets season. We know we just wrapped up now, and congratulations to you and your team, obviously finishing third. I think it was an intense one during that match, Mamelodi Sundowns and TS Galaxy, like when you're clenching your fingers that, they don't win so that we can finish third, because I think it was if they win, then we finish fourth. But big congratulations to that. How has the league been for you on the local space?
Yeah, I think despite all our challenges that we faced, we started the season with literally 15 players on the team, and I don't think anyone gave us a chance to finish the league even.
And let's talk about that, because I remember when the season started, the numbers weren't looking great for JVW. As a player who was signed with JVW at that time, were you not worried that the season might kick off and we might not have players? Because Coal City was also going through the same thing.
Absolutely. I think when we came in, I think it was a couple of weeks before the season started, we went through pre-season and we were still scrambling to find out if we're going to have a full squad. But I think it's just the determination from the owners, and obviously our coach really believed in us. And I think the additions that we brought into the squad, granted that we lost 10 starters, and I think 2023, everyone was like, JVW might not make it. But I must say thank you to my teammates for, throughout the whole season, we had so many obstacles, but, we still came out on top, and our goal was to finish third this year. And I think we've achieved that and so much more. Now we're actually looking forward to the new season, because we started on such a low, but the way we finished was, and they they always say it's not how you start, but how you finish, right? And it's so cliche, but it just fits for our team. And I think even having the smaller squad in the league, I think that also plays a huge role in the character that we have, and the team that we've built over the last years. So it's just been awesome, and I think we were so happy yesterday. But just watching the game, it was different. Sitting in the stand and watching, and I was literally in neutral because I have friends on both teams.
I saw you guys, Jermaine and the whole squad, and you guys were watching. And when Sundown scored, it's like, do we clap and celebrate for other teammates, or do we not, to make the others not feel offended?
No, I think we dealt with it in a professional manner. When TS Galaxy was doing well, we clapped for them. When Sundowns did well, we clapped for them. And it's crazy because we have friends on all these teams. And yesterday was so not fitting for us, but the fact that we were able to watch, myself, 100%. Jermaine, Hilda, and that's something that's never really happened, because we're all in different continents, different countries, and the fact that we were all together watching. Yes, absolutely. And it was fun, just being around your Banyana teammates, not being in camp. So it was a great feeling, but it was awesome to be there and to witness Sundowns obviously getting their fourth title, which is, we all hate it, but we love it at the same time. But I think it's great for women's football in our country, and but I think it's high time now that we find a new winner.
No, that's remarkable. Something that I always never understand, and perhaps because I'm not a player, is I love the support that you guys have for each other as players. Like you mentioned, that it's never done before. I saw a lot of people talking on social media to say, hey, did you see Breadwinner? She's sitting with Kaylin and Jermaine. They're watching the game, because they did show you guys sitting there at the top. so funny how you guys would tackle each other on the field and you would scream at each other on the field, but then when you walk out, you guys are all best friends. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And speaking about the challenges, right? We do know that there's a couple of inclusions in the team to beef up JVW that came, like your Marys, Masibugo, Tusi, when they came through. It definitely beefed up the squad and helped the team finish to where they finished. How has the league, in terms of competitiveness, has been this year, given the fact that you guys have been doing it? Other teams have come, they haven't lost it for a season. Some came and immediately left. But there's teams that are coming and are really contending, like your Copper Belts and we saw what Tuks did. But how has the league been in terms of the score margins? You know, has it become a little bit more exciting in terms of the competitiveness, or the top 3 teams are still the top 3 teams as there's no competition with the rest of the other teams? Do you feel like when you're playing against your city lads, and my indies, perhaps, is there a bit of a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that comes up quite often, especially to us that play in the national team. And, you know, we are often asked to compare, you know, the local league to playing international. And there's really no comparison. But I must say the league has grown so much in the last 3 years that I've been a part of it. You know, every year the teams have gotten better, and every year the teams are attracting more and more players, and quality players for that matter. But for us personally, as JVW and being part of JVW, our additions have definitely boosted our squad. You know, we've had a lot of experience, which is something you cannot buy, you know, and, you know, having experience, but also the youngsters coming up through the ranks and through development. That was a massive deal for us because we had to start on the front foot. So we couldn't really rely on the youngsters to, you know, take us to the top. And so yeah, when they came in, it was we were all delighted to have them because we knew what type of players they were. And I mean, we've all played with them at some capacity, whether it was in SASA League or, you know, at the national team, junior teams, or, you know, playing against him in Hollywood Bets. So yeah, I think the league has grown a lot. I think now you could say instead of a top 3, I could easily say there's a top 8 now. And that's exciting because, I mean, in the next year or so, who knows, you know, if the corporates come on board, if there's more investments.
And there's a top 8
exactly,
tournament.
The league could grow so much. And I think we're all kind of excited now, you know, seeing how much, you know, women's football has grown in our country, but also just the enthusiasm that's come into the league now that, you know, every week it's not a walkover per se, you know, and, you know, there's some teams that are at the bottom that will challenge you, especially when you play away. It's really hard, you know, and, you know, got to take into consideration of the weather, the travel, and all of those things. So playing away is tough in the Hollywood Bets League, and people might not think that, but I think the competition has risen a lot, and there's a lot more players now that are, you know, raising their hands to say, look at me, because I've grown a lot. And yeah, like a lot of the teams have grown in the last 3 years, and I mean, that's what we want.
And speaking of the league and the challenges of playing away, we see Coal City and my Indies sitting at the bottom of the league, which is very unfortunate for them. I mean, there were teams that, you know, have given birth to players like Ramalepe, who's currently doing the most at Mamelodi Sundowns. And I know with Coal City losing their chairman at the beginning of the season or last season, it really threw them off in terms of, you know, stabilizing their team. Do you perhaps feel like the financial contribution that's not enough to teams plays a role in the performance of these teams having to sit at the bottom, looking at the logistics of traveling, looking at the fact that some players have to work a 9 to 5 and their availability for certain, you know, tournaments. If they're in school, their availability for certain games is like, do you believe that could be the reason why these struggling teams are going through?
Absolutely. I mean, we want to portray ourselves as professionals, you know, and every day is a struggle. You know, there's some of us that work throughout the day, train at night, and there's some that have to train in the morning, go to work, and then, you know, they have to integrate training into their working schedule and things like that.
And people don't know that. You'd be very surprised. Like a lot of the public, when you speak to them on social media, they'd be very shocked that you guys actually have to have 9 to 5 in order to make ends meet, because there's a perception, like you're saying, that it's professional and it isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the travel fatigue comes comes into play a lot of times, especially if there's a Wednesday, Saturday game or Wednesday, Sunday, which are tough, you know. And I mean, if players have to travel by bus on the road for, you know, 8 to 12 hours and play the next day, it's not ideal, but that's the, you know, circumstances that we are dealing with now. And I think we just treat it as best we can, you know, when we arrive, wherever we play. If we get a couple of hours of sleep or some rest, you know, that does help a lot. But I think if financially the investments come on board, and I think, you know, the travel, accommodation and all of those things will become a lot easier. Yeah, because I mean, I'd rather fly 2 hours than drive 10 hours.
100%,
and, you know,
so you can get rest.
Exactly, and also for, you know, your body, your body recovers a lot easier. So yeah, I think that definitely plays a part of some of the teams, you know, their bad performances, or, you know, just players having one team and two substitutes. Those are tough conditions to deal with, and yeah, I think that's something that can definitely change in the league.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the space for women's football, but hopefully we can get there. Let's shift the conversation to the national team. We know that you are the national team goalkeeper. We love your work. We saw the results that came. You came in the top 10 of the most saves in the FIFA World Cup. I don't think actually people digested that. I think they just saw it in passing and they were scrolling, but that's a huge deal for your name to be part of the top 10 of the goalkeepers that actually made the most saves. But there was a lot of negativity that was centered around your selection to be a primary goalkeeper ahead of Andile. So I just want to know, I know you are not on social media, which is a great thing to do, because I think most athletes should actually know that, you know, social media during tournaments is a bad idea because you're just going to come across the most horrifying things ever. However, when you stepped out of that space and you went on social media and you saw all of this, having to be dealing with, you lost a loved one during that time and nobody actually even knew that was happening. How did you recover from that, and how did you deal with it? Because I can tell you now, lots of athletes don't know how to deal with that, and you came out strong out of that. But what was the recipe that led you to still maintain your focus and consistency in what you're doing for your duty?
I must say, I mean, that was probably the hardest time for me, being a footballer. But I think I must say, my teammates have really, really helped me a lot. Specifically Jermaine and Linda, and obviously Amo too. No, they have been really, they've been strong for me. So yeah, it was tough. Sometimes when I talk about it, still kind of, you know, hits home. Imagine, but yeah, I think it is just the fact that I had the support around me. You know, my friends and my family were pretty positive around all the negativity. And, you know, I had some of my aunts and uncles go at them on Facebook and whatever, but I told them it's not worth it, you know. And but yeah, I think it's just the fact that I am who I am, and I've always been a positive individual.
And you are. Like, people don't get this about you. Like, the life of the party, every time when there's a video and Kaylin is there, you'd never know that there's literally a storm that you're like covering from everybody. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of my superpower, but at some point it was gonna crack.
Of course.
And yeah, I think at the World Cup is when I really felt, you know, the burden that I was carrying, because I tried to bottle everything up
all at once, because you needed to focus.
I think stepping away from social media definitely gave me a different perspective of, you know, the things around me, and I was more present in what I was doing instead of worrying about what other people are thinking of what I'm doing. So yeah, I think it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I mean, it never happened overnight, but you know, going through therapy helped me tremendously. And obviously mental health is such a big, it's a ticking word, you know, and everyone has that mental health, and mental well-being is important, but nobody really knows what it actually entails and how much you've got to dig into it to really understand, you know, an athlete or even just a regular person. But yeah, it's tough, but I mean, it comes with being a professional athlete, and no matter if I do good or bad, people are going to talk, and I just need to, you know, lean onto the people that really support me and are always positive about what I do. So, yeah, and I think those things will never change who I am. But it will make me stronger, absolutely. But yeah, I've never been this person my whole life, so I've grown into myself, and I've also grown a lot personally.
I love it, love it. Love your superpowers. Love what you've been doing. We saw your double save at that game. We saw how amazing you did, and you continue to do it regardless of the challenges. Things that you've mentioned now, I'm hoping an athlete that's actually watching this podcast understands, you know, how to step back from social media, how to stay positive, and perhaps, you know, they can take a page on your book on how to, you know, stay positive. But we're absolutely happy to see the hard work that you're putting in, and wish you all the best. We hope to have you again so we can talk all things, because we know WEFCON is up next, and we are going to be definitely doing the most. Defending champions, we want to make sure that we do it once again. But thank you so much for this amazing conversation, and we just wish you all the best.
No, thank you for having me, and yeah, it was fun. I always love to talk. But
love it.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's it, everybody. Hope you follow us and like our channel for more women in sports content.